Hello everybody. So you guys told me to make this video, that's why I'm making it. You probably heard people talk about how they moved to Nigeria after a while and they couldn't take it again and then they moved back. So let's talk about it. We like call it the Japa, which is people that left, Japada, come back, and then Japa again. So it's been rampant, and I didn't know it was such an issue or topic of conversation until I had 3 different people request for this particular video. I should talk about it and why I think that happens. So first of all, let's start with Japa. Japa is different from going to school and coming back. Japa literally means run. So it means you're running from something. You're running to have a better life. Maybe you don't like where you are again. You don't like Nigeria. You don't like your state. You feel like you're not moving forward and you have to leave. Now, there are also people who, I don't know if I'll consider them Japa, but they did not Japa. I'll just say like they relocated or they moved based on circumstance. I have one of my sisters here on YouTube who has lived in Nigeria for a very long time. She got married to someone that lives in America. So they agreed that they wanted their family, they wanted to start a family in America. So she moved to America. Why that is important is that if her husband was in Nigeria, they would be in Nigeria. If her husband was in Dubai, they would be in Dubai. Why? Because he's the one that is, she works from home. So she's more flexible. It's easier for her to work from anywhere, but he doesn't. So his job was a determining factor of where they will stay. So for her, she tries to say things like, I don't know if I'll call it Japa, but I just went to stay with my family. Now we have those people, and we have people back in those days who, things have changed. Right now, people sell their lands, their properties, people borrow money to leave Nigeria. It wasn't the case. The case before, people leave broke and come back rich, or come back okay, or don't make it, depends. It's a personal journey. My point was, at the time when leaving Nigeria started, when this whole Japa thing, it meant like running, going for greener pastures, for something better. So we didn't have people selling their properties, raising 200 million, 100 million, because right now immigration even makes it more difficult by saying you have to have this whole proof of funds. We didn't have all that. So people that were running were literally running. At that time, all you needed to do was to get your visa and to get your passport. You didn't have to have this amount of money for your proof of stay. But things change, right? I guess people are taking advantage of the system. My point is, so people that have left in the past 10, 15 years, were people who consciously left. They did not leave because, like when I left, I kept telling people that like I left because, my parents, like I'm under my parents. So at that time they they make the decision. And if the decision is I'm going to school in the UK, I have to go. Like they're the ones taking care of me at that time. But people that left in the past like 10, 15 years and all, it was a case of let us go for a better life. A lot of them, and it's been getting worse, a lot of them had to sell properties, which is why when people move there and it's not the way they thought it would be, they struggle and they cannot come back. Because people are like, why not just come back? You're telling people not to come. Why not just come back? Why not just come back? Why? How? Because you've invested a lot of them have quit their job, they've sold their houses. Now that house that they have sold, I witness this every single day. The house that they have sold, they cannot afford that same house. I know someone that sold a house in Lekki for 70 million. That house is currently going for 260 million. So now that the person is back, the person cannot afford that house now that he sold to somebody, cannot even afford to rent that house now because things didn't turn out the way it was supposed to. My point is, this is why when you see yourself in those situations, you try and make it stay and happen. So when people say, well, if it's not working, why not just come back? It's not that easy. You go there, you meet certain things, and people, I like to, let's just say, hold hands for people, hold space for people and different situations of why they left. I've heard stories. We've watched the documentary. Some were lied to. Some even went to the promise of jobs. They were lied to. It was a fake job, those kind of things. And they're like, okay, we're here already. Let's make it happen. Some, their parents left them there. They didn't have a choice. And that's where they found themselves in. And that's, where they are making their life happen, things like that. Some people went in different circumstances, so you can't just stay there and sit down and blame people and say, oh, you left because of this, now you can't afford this. No, some were lied to, so, like different reasons. Some even went there with a plan ABC. The plan ABC did not work, and that's it. So my point is, people that have left, it's a lot of journey to leave. Even to come back is very expensive. You guys know where I'm going to with this story now. So leaving Nigeria now to go to any of these countries, especially Canada, America, UK, no, mostly Canada and UK, because these are people that their immigration are quite open. As long as you can pay that and all that, you can go. For a lot of people that have gone here to this country, they'll tell you how far they've gone in the past few years. It was an expensive journey. So when they go there, they try and make it happen. Like, we're here already. Now, talking about the same people who go and they're like, oh, I've lived here for 10 years, 15 years, and I'm ready to come back. And now they come back, they're like, we cannot take it again. We're going back. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Content creation is a job, and a lot of people are content creators. It is their full-time job. Content creators exaggerate a lot of things and are more dramatic. Why? Because of the clicks. It's their money. It's how they make money. I work with experts in Nigeria. I'm currently working with someone who took a work year because she has been abroad for a very long time. She's been abroad since she was like 14, and she's like, you know what, I'm taking a career break to come to Nigeria for just a year. Now, if this lady was a content creator, let me tell you what she's going to do so you guys know where I'm getting to. She's going to come to Nigeria and she's going to say, I am moving back to Nigeria. But mind you, she was never moving back to Nigeria. She just came for a 1-year gap. And she's going to make it all dramatic, like, I'm moving back, I can't take it again, you know, Nigeria is calling, or, you know, I just want to come back. And she's going to do all these whole dramatic things, and she's going to gain followers because people are going to follow her journey, because there are a lot of people who want to come back and they just need that push. And then eventually she comes back, and after a year she sits down and makes the reverse video. Guys, Nigeria is not what I thought it was going to be, so I have to leave. This is crazy. I didn't know that I didn't have light. Oh, I find it difficult to have this. Oh, I cannot buy my bell pepper. I've watched different videos, trust me. So I've seen the craziest things. And then they move back. But all along, they knew that they were going to be here for just a year. Nobody makes that kind of back and forth decision anytime here. And I'm saying that with my full chest. I work with experts who come to Nigeria or go anywhere. They knew that they will be there for 6 months. If you have followed Adeze space, Adeze moved out of Nigeria to the UK. Because Adeze is one of those honest, transparent content creators when it comes to things like this, even though people refused to listen to her because they felt everybody wants to leave Nigeria, Adeze kept saying, I did not Japa. Adeze did not for one day sit down to do a video of how to leave Nigeria, how to do it, at least not that I saw. And Adeze didn't make any video saying this is how to leave Nigeria, this is how to get your papers, this is how, because that's not the route she used to leave Nigeria. And Adeze was saying, I can understand what people go through, but this is not my story. I didn't Japa. People came after her and told her like, oh no, you're making it like look like the, you know, other people that Japa, that is not this, like as if you don't want to be part of that whole journey. That's because Adeze doesn't owe anybody to tell them that, okay, I'm just here for a few months and I'll be back. But she was still honest enough to say that I did not Japa. My husband got a job. I remember like in one video, if she mentioned something about like her husband getting a job and them having to leave. So did they leave? They left. And they left to the UK. And the UK again, Adeze kept hinting how she never like totally said, see, that country, I'm not coming back. In her videos, if you listen to what she's saying without her saying it, she's always spoke about how if she wanted to move anywhere, it was Canada. And why? Because of family. Because I realized that you're as good as where you have your people. So if your people are in Canada, if your siblings are in Canada and your family goes there, she has always been someone that also likes like to be, she doesn't want to be in London and her husband will be in Canada. You know, so if it's Canada, if he has his work there and I have to be my siblings and everybody, all well and good, Canada is it for me. So even if there was a conscious effort to Japa, you know that Adeze would have chosen Canada if it was on her, like less Japa. So when she came back to Nigeria, people still came on her again like, why did you come back to Nigeria? From day one, she said she did not Japa. And that is the reality, right? She didn't lie to people. But let's flip it this way. Can you imagine if Adeze lived in Nigeria and then her husband had no, sorry, she lives in Nigeria. Can you imagine if Adeze lived in the UK and her husband had a 6-month contract in Nigeria and Adeze played this whole, we're coming home. And then after 6 months or 3 months, Adeze comes to flip and comes up with something like, I can't take it, this is not what I expected. My daughter is having a headache. My son's hand is shaking. And this is not me playing what anybody's going through. I'm just being honest. Maybe at that time, like me, I just suffered a very serious allergic reaction. So maybe imagine her having to deal with that. She would not say, see, Nigerian water is not good for me. Oh, I had allergic reaction. Oh, this is it. I have to move back. And a lot of people will be like, yes, it's true. I told you never to go there in the first place. That is typically what is happening on the scene. The people telling you guys that they are moving back and after 6 months or 4 months or 1 year, they cannot take it again. They had no plans of living here in the first place. I said what I said, and I'll say it again. They had no plans of living here in the first place. I recently got a contract or something to do, right? I'm not going to mention the place yet. So can you imagine if I'm moving to this place and I'm supposed to be there for 8 months and I tell you guys that I'm moving to that country for 8 months. Then after 8 months, I say I'm coming back. I can choose to be honest and say, oh, I have a program that will last for this amount of months. Or I can choose to get the clicks and to carry people along. So that's what they are doing. That is exactly what they are doing, because the process to Japa and Japada is not for the faint-hearted. The process to leave this country is not a joke. To come back is not a joke. And you know one thing about even, let's just say like people abroad, right? If you had to, for example, move back to Nigeria, you know exactly what I mean. As the people that have moved back, people come on my channel and they say, we're going to move back in 5 years. Thank God I found this channel. Why do you think they're talking about it now? Because it's a lot of preparation. It's a lot of preparation. They have to, if they have work, I know a lady here that was moving back to Nigeria. She took us through the process and kept talking about, people were like, Mama, are you even still coming back? She said yes, but they didn't understand the process. Her kids are British citizens. She needs to let them know that, okay, these kids now live in Nigeria, they're in school. So that social worker doesn't come one day and expect that, you just put your kids away from school. What's happening? That they need to pay off anything if they owe any loan. They need to make sure that nothing is reading. Her husband needs to quit his own job as well. All the process, and you don't just quit your job by coming and saying, I don't want to work again. Depends on the terms of your contract. If your contract says 2 weeks, you give it. You need to sell out your things if you bought already, because everything in America, Canada, UK, all these countries, everything is reading. It's not like Nigeria where you just park car for 1 year and when you come back, your car is just there. No, you're paying insurance on that car, that house, you're paying mortgage. So you can't just close up your house and say, oh, I'm going here for a few times. No, there's a process to all those things. And if you're even now coming with a family, it's double process. There's a process to all these things. That's why when people come back and it's not the way maybe they expected some things that they didn't say, they try and make it work. There's a lady here on YouTube. She's been through it. She's been through it. She's still in Nigeria. And she has been through it. She's been through several things. She said something in one of her videos. I don't know why I can't find her channel, because I just saw that video and I didn't see it again. She said that even when they took her things, like I think she went somewhere and then she got robbed or something like that, that all she did was to change location. Like that people were like, hey, now that you've been robbed, are you going back to America? She said, do you think it's how they move back? And this is someone that doesn't even have a family. So it's easy for her. She said, if I was in America and came back and they had opened my door and stolen something, will I leave America immediately? No. Instead, I would look, oh, maybe this place is not safe. Let me get a safer place. That's what happens when you move back. And I remember in that video, she was talking about, like, do you know what it took? Do you think she just got up and moved? That for you and your family to make a decision that you're moving, that means your husband, if he's working, he will quit his job. Your kids, you put them out. And you know that in schools, they do this thing where if you miss out on your turn, maybe if the class is full, you can't get in again till like next year. Then you now move to Nigeria. Either you buy a house or you rent a house. Both processes are very stressful. Before you will say, I can't do it again, I'm leaving, you have encountered something that, and trust me, I know people will not understand it, but it's true. You encounter something, you know that you take your kids to Canada and your kids get sick because of cold. Are you going to leave immediately? No. Because when you are going there, that's the first thing you expected. That's the first thing they'll prepare you for. I have experts that come to Nigeria. The first thing they do is to prepare for malaria. They take anti-malaria. When they come, they take shots. Sometimes they end up still getting the malaria, but it is something that they are ready for. You know, if you're going to a country, it's like you're going to a cold country. This is what is expected. You're going to a tropical country. These are things that you expect. So you will not just say, oh, I can't take it again. Even the lady that moved to one of this country, I can't remember like whether it was Japan or not. It was even because she got a job and she moved back to America, because when she got a job, the job was, her visa was tied to that job. So when they let her go, she had to leave because she could not, she was given like an amount of time to get another job. So if you don't get another job, you have to leave, because then you're now illegal, because you came strictly like, you know, based on work. And that's how she left. Even at that, she really struggled, even with everything she faced, because I saw on TikTok how she spoke about everything she went through. She was still struggling to get a job because she was like, I left America. Like, it wasn't easy. Going back now, I literally have to start again. How much more when you have a family? It's not a one-day decision. That's the truth. So I'm just here to say that a lot of people that you watch that tell you that, oh, we moved after 6 months, we can't take it again, 4 months, they always knew how long they wanted to stay. No one goes back and forth like that. And another thing is, like, I always notice that there are two kinds of people that like that content. People that like the got you moment. Oh, guess what? After 10 years, I've decided to go to Nigeria. Oh, no, don't go there. The people there, if it's me, if I have a chance to be in Canada, if I have a chance to be in America, I will never come here. Oh, no, why should you go there? God puts something in your mouth and you say it's bitter cola you want. I always read those comments. Then you have the other people who are there that know that life is not like that. They have those other people that are there in that city where they are, or in that country where they are, and they know what they are going through. But they would like to lie to themselves and say, how can you leave this place? Man, nothing will make me live here. In fact, I saw a comment from a girl that lives in one of these countries, and I really love her comment. She said, why do you people that are here make it look like this place is just so filled with milk and honey on the streets? You guys come up with this narrative. Then when they start asking you guys for black tax, you now start saying, don't you know that we say we are suffering? We have to pay this, we have to pay that. But somebody is telling you that she wants to go back to Nigeria, that she feels that she has a better job there and she can make it. And you, because you're here, you're saying, no, I can never leave. Oh, how can? I know there's a particular lady too. She moved to Nigeria. She put her son in boarding school. I was watching her videos. Do you know what it means for she and her husband to make that decision to move a child who was homeschooled to Nigeria to a boarding school? Do you love them more than they love themselves? Do you know how long it took them to make that decision? She came to Nigeria, she bought a house, she's made videos on how she's living her life, on the things she wasn't able to do before because, you know, constantly working and all, how she's living. But people are still on that comment section trying to tell them, don't worry, Nigeria will still happen to you. So it's because of people like that they create this content. Then when they are leaving, they now decide that they want to leave, or they announce that, oh, we have to leave here. You see people be like, I told you, let me tell you, the biggest mistake you made was the attempt to go back. Like you shouldn't have. One girl even made a whole video, and this particular one really got me out because she said she was traveling, she couldn't stay in Nigeria again, and she was moving back. And through the comments, she said, oh, there was light issue, there was this issue, that paying of rent a year. It was through the comment section that I realized that she was dating someone, and when she came back, things did not work out the way it is, and that's why she's leaving. Because it's so powerful. Like, imagine you move to a country with somebody that you're with, and then you guys break up and you have to leave. It was the constant people writing in the comment section saying, why are you making it look like you're leaving Nigeria because of light, or so you knew these issues because before you came? You're leaving because your relationship did not work out, and it's normal. It was through the comment that I knew that was the reason. But she didn't say any of that. Everything she mentioned, I was like, what is this girl talking about? Oh, you know, the inverter wasn't working. If you really wanted to move, the inverter is not working, won't you buy another inverter? But, hello, it was through the comment that I knew that was why she was leaving. And which is, like, it's valid to tell people that this is it. Like, if I move to a country with somebody and we are no more in a relationship, like, it's more than enough reason to put yourself together. And guess what? You have family support there. So she was not even going back to her house. She had family that were supporting her. So that's why that move for her was quite easy. But people were already there, and I saw some people in the comment, they were like, I told you, I don't know why you moved with my kids. You know, like, you know, those role play where they act like the kids that they met on the internet are their children. And they're like, I hope nothing happened to my son. I hope there's no bite of it on my son. But you guys are the same one that when you're there, you're telling us that, life here is not easy. But once you see someone that now says, okay, this life is not easy, I want to take a different route, you have that moment of, how can you move? Then the person is coming back and serves you the kind of content you want to hear. You have that got you moment like that. I told you couldn't do it. Anyway, so yes, to answer, I'm not going to lie that, of course, some people have gone to countries and what they thought was not how it played out. Even when you go through the documentary that the BBC made about this immigration scam, did you see any of them say, I came back to Nigeria immediately? No, because you're there already. You've spent money, you've built. So even if they want to come back, it's years later, they make it happen. It's the same thing that happens here in Nigeria. If someone really moved back, made the move to come back, especially people that left in the last 10, 15 years, made the move because you knew how it was, you knew what made you leave in the first place, right? If this set of people move and decide to come back, if they don't stay, it's because staying was never in the plan. Because if it was in the plan, if you face one challenge, because there are challenges everywhere, if you face one challenge, you will try and make it work. That's the truth. Anyways, thank you guys, and I hope I answered your question. Remember, no shade, I have nobody in mind. I was just I was told to make this video. I always tell people the grass is greener where you water it. If you're doing well in America, if you're doing well in the UK, if you're doing well in France, if you're doing well in Canada, I will never sit down to tell people. In fact, there are people that have told me they wanted to move back to Nigeria. And after consulting with them, I say, can you give another 2-3 years? Yeah, because the career that they're currently on now, that market hasn't opened in Nigeria. So as much as I love Nigeria, I still tell people, for you, it's not time. There are some people I speak to in Nigeria, and I'm like, guess what? At this stage you are in your life now, this is the best time to even travel and taste the water. So if it doesn't work, it's easier for you now. So I believe that, like anywhere, I've never fought anybody that said they're coming back, or anybody that says they're going, or anybody that said they can't stay here. I understand that our realities are different. And at the end of the day, it's a personal race, right? But when we make it look like, when we are part of this PR that makes it look like the place is so unlivable. All right, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share. If you have any video that you want me to make, or maybe you asked me before and I haven't made it, please do me a reminder in the comment section. Thanks and stay blessed.